depicting Carolina, so part of their criteria was a line type, item type, and GL class, I believe, too, right?
Correct.
Okay.
So here, the flow we're actually going to follow, I've already done a little bit of it for us, so we don't have to go through all the approvals, is we start at composing. This is the requester making the submission. The GL class, as Doug just mentioned, I selected was a core class. It was not a quick add, so we came over here to Life Science Manager approval. This person has the ability to edit everything in that request, just as the requester is, and so is the director, who, once the product manager is approved, the director then makes their approval. And this is the last step that I finished before we start off. So we're going to log in as the safety and coordinator, and they have the ability to just edit the safety information. So we do have we can specify what you're allowed to edit based on who you log in as. So we can give that power to your employees as well. So your requester might not know all the safety information of the item, therefore giving it to different people throughout the request, rather than having it stall with the requester to wait for those questions to be answered. So let's go ahead and log in as a safety and coordinator. And as you'll see, we have a different look and feel for this page. And we do that just to show that we can mimic whatever you guys need as a look and feel for your site. So I'm logging in, as I said, the product and safety coordinator. And then let's go ahead and look at my approvals. Again, a very different layout than we saw in the VOB. And the one we're going to be working with today is the Monitor 234. It was started by the requester, and it was last updated by the director. So we can go ahead and look at the details. And just as the workflow is much more complicated, so are the forms. So I filled out a couple of the forms for us already. But let's go ahead and look at the item details before we move forward.
In other words, this is, you're showing what a form would look like from, say, a product developer with the initial request.
Right. So this is the first form they fill out. So you can see I have my item number, my item description, all of the required fields for me to create that item in JDE, and some of them are required just because that's how we like to create our items when we're demoing. So there are also items that aren't filled out because not all items are the same. We might not need a price break. You might not need a price break ever, so we can remove that field, or you might need more than the 4 that we've given you. So again, we can do a lot of different things with these forms to match what exactly you need to create in JD Edwards.
And it could vary significantly. So some companies might want bill forecast, say a manufactured item, bill forecasting, all of that detail. And other companies go ahead and create it, and they can add that at a later point.
Exactly. Let's go ahead and close this. And as you see, because I am logged in as purchasing, I have no ability to edit here. This is all grayed out and disabled because as my role, I don't have that security necessary. But if I log in as product safety, I now have the ability to make the edits as I see fit. So I'll add one of these, minor classification, sell the public, sure. Again, and these are all either JDE managed lists or KRISE managed lists, or a little bit of both. So let's say your JDE has you have a list of classifications, but you don't want to use all of them, but you need to have all of them in JDE for some reason. We can filter out the ones needed and just show those to the user. No, those, and then we can give it a choking hazard, and we can complete this. And once we move that to complete, this will refresh, and we'll see our flag move over to green. And again, for this demonstration, we don't have to finish everything for the approval to go through JDE very customizable for each different item because each different item is going to be different.
And Alex, talk a little bit about the logic behind the approval in terms of, as an example, somebody being on vacation. So a request might be a delegate also if the approval doesn't occur within, say, 48 hours or 36 hours. And co-ownership is another one, right?
Right. So there's a lot of complex delegations that we've done. So we have two different types of delegation that we can handle, passive and active. So what a passive delegate is, which is something that's not used everywhere, is it allows me to select Doug per se to, at any point in time, activate his delegation for me in case of emergency or unexpected absence. Doug can then activate that, make that approval, and then we make note of when he activated it and what approvals he made during that activation. So that way, if something happened where he approved something he shouldn't have, we know exactly when that happened and when he did the activation. And if you don't want that, you can just do an active delegation where I go in, I set my delegate up for a specific time frame, and they can go in and make that approval. And then we also have escalation, which allows for, I'm going to approve all this, I talk about this, but escalation, you can set that to 1 day, 7 days, 14 days. That'll go to the next manager automatically above the person it's sitting on, or it can just go to the next status if that's how you see fit.
Perfect. Good overview of the options there.
And as you see, after I made the approval, I still can look at the information, but my approve and deny buttons are both gone. So I'm going to log out and log in as the next approver. So what happens after the purchasing or the safety coordinator is the workflow actually can split off into editing and purchasing in parallel. This item is just going to go through purchasing, but editing would have the ability to make changes as they see fit, even after it goes into JDE.
With that role being the data manager.
Correct.
Okay.
So here we see our monitor 234. And this person, once it hits the purchasing coordinator, they are a person that's just notified that the item exists. They don't need to they're not allowed to make a denial. So they only can make an approval to send to the next person, letting them know that they know that item exists. And then we're off to the last approver. Again, we'll make this approval, and when this approval happens, so this one happens in a batch job because of how many business functions we're running. I think it's in the teens somewhere to create the item, to create the branch plans, the forecasting, all of that different information is all run at once. So again, we don't want the approver to wait for it. So once they make the approval, that item will be created for us in JDE. We can go take a quick look at that. And then from there, the last thing I'd like to show is actually making a change to this page.
And once again, for this, and that's why we did a shortcut. We started in the middle of the process because with this item approval demo, it's easy to show a simple one-level linear approval process, and it's another thing to show, complexity, even like what we talked about, simultaneous approval processes. So that's why we have it set up as such. But depending on exactly what you want in terms of your process flow, we promote scheduling, meetings that show, and once again, Alex is going to show something real time, but we can make changes, we can edit it very simply, and for anybody that wants to see the more, the administration side, users set up, etc., just ask us and we'll arrange a one-to-one demo with you on those subjects.
Exactly. Yeah, because we really barely scratched the surface on these applications, but we feel like we gave you a good demonstration of how they can work for you. So here's the item that we just created. We can go ahead and select that. And here's some of the information that we added to it.
And this was through business functions?
This was all through multiple business functions.
Right.
So like I said, the last thing I wanted to do was show EASYProcess. So let's go back.
And once again, The business function, what we're using is the JDE XML call object that calls the business function.
Yes. So I'm going to log in and just take a look at a request.
And once again, we're getting to the end of the hour. Please initiate any chats as we approach the Q&A portion.
So basically what I'm going to try and do for you guys is I'm going to add a button to this page which will send an email, which will send this details to me specifically so I can show everybody. So just a quick web part email that will send out the information. So can you want to just kind of describe EASYProcess while I just
So Alex is going to be going into the EASYProcess platform that allows a developer who's been trained to use the software to very quickly modify, change, and update the applications. He's in the web part factory right now. You can kind of see there's an alignment with the little blue box, new item, new description. While it's not a completely what you see is what you get environment, from a design point of view, there are good reasons for this, and this really gives a lot of power to the programmer to design really unique forms exactly the way you need them. Now he's drag and dropped into a new section, a button that will allow him to fire off an email, and now we'll see the actual change to the screen. He's actually updating the text name of the button.
And once again, we understand there's some of you that might want to have ownership into the platform so that you can do things like this yourself, or others that simply want to look at outsourcing it 100% to us. We're more than happy to manage the services, to work with your turnkey. But it is it really what separates ourselves. Being blunt, a lot of people don't like vendors having full ownership over being able to do like custom development. And with us, you have a choice.
So now we've moved into the orchestration canvas that allows us to manipulate files, web services, create all kinds of decisions based on different values, parse emails. There's a lot of functionality. We have barely scratched the surface to some of the bells and whistles that are available to you as you plan your workflow. So here we're inside a service, the service canvas, and now Alex assigns a few variables within this service. Looking at that web part, he's going to look at the fields on that web part and create a quick email. Really the point of us showing you this is that we can very quickly make changes, much more quickly than with standard programming. And we're also in much more control than standard programming. And not to get too technical, but any of you who've been involved with a team that builds completely from scratch C#, Java applications know that you don't want that team leaving you. You want them around. And here you can see he's added a send email button on the bottom right. And is that already functioning?
I think so.
He has already created the functionality that fires that workflow, that sends an email with content in it. And of course, this is a quick demo, but it's possible. Emails can be formatted however you want. And there, no, that's not it. That was too quick even for that. But your branding can be matched, and sometimes there's just questions of the email server working fast enough, or the internet for that matter.
Oh, it didn't fire.
Also, be aware, debugging is excellent within this tool. We have great logs.
Good point, Kat.
Programmers really do love EASYProcess, and we actually have a few customers online here today who are familiar with EASYProcess and really like the power that it gives them to solve problems for their company, to build new processes, to improve systems. J.D. Edwards is phenomenal. It's the backbone of your company, but sometimes you need some help with the fingertips of your company, and that's where EASYProcess comes in, and it puts that data at the fingertips of all your users, vendors, customers. I know right now you can't hear it, but Alex is screaming on the inside because we got to recognize he's doing this on the fly, from scratch, in a real-time environment, and oftentimes there's issues and questions. So let's see if we've
I'm pretty sure I remember why that wasn't working. I was looking in the wrong folder.
He was looking in the wrong email box. Here's your error.
So here's, sorry about that. So here's a bunch of emails from my test.
So it was working every time, and you were worried.
I get so mad at users when they give me this error, too. So here's the result of the button press. We can see, wrong one. We can see it sent me this information right up here.